Ready? All right. Good evening, everybody. It is September 20th, 2023. We are here with the Parks and Recreations Committee. It is 7:01. And first thing I'd like to start out with is going ahead and introducing everybody. My name is Tracy McGraw. I'm the chairperson of the committee. Maureen?
Maureen Howell, Senior Citizen Representative.
Naomi Halter, School Board Representative.
I'm Rick Greenier. I'm the Merrimack Youth Association rep.
Josh Toms, committee member.
Matthew Brown, Student Representative.
And I'm Mackenzie Murphy. I am the Town Council Representative.
And I'm Phil Berzinski. I'm a committee member.
Thank you,
Heather
everyone.
Fairbanks, committee member.
Heather, I didn't even see you back there. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
And Matt Kasparis, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Great. Thank you, everyone. So has everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes from the last meeting? All right.
May make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. All in favor to approve that we're in attendance? 6. Heather, were you here? Yeah. Are you voting yay? Approve? Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8. Right?
Yeah, 89801.
Okay. All right. So, looks like first thing we've got tonight is for new business, review the draft proposal for summer camp refund and cancellation policy.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit last month. And, you know, one of the challenges we had at camp this summer, and this is a fairly new challenge for us, you know, going back, you know, I've been here 10 years now, which is a little crazy in itself. When I first started here in Merrimack, like summer camp, you know, we'd be, you know, Monday in the middle of July, and people would show up Monday morning, and go, oh, can I register for camp to start today? And we go, sure, because we had the capacity and we weren't full and we wanted the revenues, you know. Since COVID, we've been filling up sooner and sooner. This year, we were full in a week. I had 50 kids on a wait list, pretty much every age group by the end of January. Which was great. It was a nice problem to have. You know, we went out, we hired some extra staff so we could take some of the kids off the wait list. And the challenge we ran into this summer was we got to about the beginning of July, and suddenly we had probably 20 or 30 families with multiple children say, oh, well, we're booked for the entire summer, all 9 weeks, but we actually only need 2 weeks. So we'd like to cancel out of the other 7. And at the moment, the town's cancellation policy is very lenient. It's right now it's 10 days notice and they only lose $10. So if it's $300 for the cost of camp, they're only losing $10 of that and getting all that back. And the problem that occurred to us this year is when they all did it in the beginning of July, by that point, you know, we start calling our wait list. Oh, well, we cleared out the wait list within 2 days because people had found other options by July. So we ended up not filling a lot of those slots, which caused us to lose about $20,000 on camp this summer as a result of that. And so what we're looking to do, and this starts with you, and then ultimately, you know, if you guys agree with what I'm proposing, we'll go to the town council, and then the town council will say yay or nay. And what I'm proposing to change is specific to summer camp. So it's Camp Natticook, Camp Trek, which is our teen camp, and then our summer stage. The rest of the year's programs, you know, we're going to keep the $10 and the 10 days because that's fine and appropriate. It really is just summer camp where it's an issue. So what we're looking at is, and there's copies up here if you didn't grab one, if anybody needs one, but it's also on your screen. So first of all, right now, parents put down a $25 deposit for each week of camp. and we're proposing to change that to $50. Secondly, instead of 10 days out, we're going to change it to 30 days out, and the payment for that session is going to be due 30 days out instead of 10 days out. One of the challenges we also have is, we spend hours. I have one staff member whose job in the summer is pretty much is just to make phone calls to chase people for payments. And so if we can start getting payments in before summer, then makes life a little easier for us too, on that end. So basically, payments due 30 days out. And if you want to cancel, you have to do it also 30 days prior to, and usually that's what prompts it, is when we start making those phone calls going, hey, camp starts in 2 weeks, your final payment balance is due. They go, oh yeah, by the way, we decided we're going on vacation for the month of August. We don't need camp. Okay, would have been nice to tell it, So the idea here is obviously making both the cancellation deadline and the payment due deadline the same amount. So if they cancel, as long as they cancel more than 30 days out, so if it's week 1 of camp, which is June 23rd, they got to tell us by May 23rd if they're going to be coming to week 1 or not. They're going to lose that $50 security deposit. It's a non-refundable deposit. But then we would refund whatever the remaining payment is of whatever they've paid. Some of our families are really good. As soon as they register, they'll go back in and they'll pay the entire balance off for the summer. But the large majority of them are waiting till 2 weeks out to pay us. And so obviously anything above and beyond the $50, we would still refund it then. And as always, we do refunds by check from the town. When we build in the cost of the credit card transaction fee into the cost of the program. And so we're happy to eat that cost, but obviously we don't want to be doing refunds by credit card either, because now you got to pay the fee twice. It's also a little challenging with the way our financing is, because when money comes from our credit card processor, every 2 days it gets transferred into a different account in the town's finance system. And so it's complicated to make it go back the other way. So we've always just done checks. So that part of things doesn't change. The next one that has come up in the past.
Hey, Matt, just to
Yeah.
interrupt. What's a household credit?
So a household credit is, they decide, we do a lot of programs with you. We don't necessarily need a refund check back. Just leave it. It stays as a credit on our account, which they can log in and use for any program anytime in the future. And sometimes we'll have people do that as well. So that option is still available as well. And then, so the next piece of this that comes up is medical. And we've started having more of this come up, and we've always been pretty good about, if somebody cancels out of a week of camp and they says, my kid's sick, or they broke their leg or whatever. We ask for a doctor's note just to prove that it's something legitimate. But what we started seeing this year was, like, we had somebody that was with us for, they had been with us for multiple weeks, and then the last week of camp, they just didn't show up. Kept calling them, no response, whatever. Week after, hey, you still owe us money because we've been holding a spot for you. In this case, it was our teen camp. So we had paid for the admission fees for the trips, because we don't know if they're going to, we have to do that stuff in advance. The week after camp, we finally get a hold of this one family, and they say, oh, well, he was sick, but he wasn't sick enough that he needed to go to the doctor, but we still would like our full payment back. Well, no. Well, and so we argued with them about it and said we weren't going to do it, and without a doctor's note. And like 2 weeks goes by, and suddenly a doctor's note appears. So they went to a doctor, and the doctor predated a note back to retroactively to 3 weeks earlier. It's like, kind of scamming the system a little bit, They probably had something else fun to do and didn't want to go to camp. And so they were trying to make an excuse, whatever. So what we're suggesting here is, we'll make an exception to that 30-day cancellation. If it's medical related, it has to be a doctor's note. they'd still lose the $50 non-refundable deposit, but we'll refund 50%. And like I said, it's particularly with like our field trip camp, we've outlaid those costs, and unless I can fill the slot, which at that late stage usually doesn't happen, we're out. In this case, a week's worth of trips is, $125 out of $300, and then you get the bus and everything else. So, so we think it's fair versus just giving everything back. Yes.
So now that people have access to like the COVID tests at home, they don't always have to go to the doctor. So with that, if a person is taking COVID tests at home, and let's just say obviously it still exists next summer, and they don't go to the doctor but they have COVID, what do you do about that?
That's a good question.
We have phones. Phones have cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, you take the picture
we could
before
probably
the
build
line-
something in here of, and let's hope we're not back in that. I mean, we didn't have a single case at camp again this summer. We had one staff test just to make sure, but it was a summer cold and nothing else. And hopefully that's not an issue, but we could probably put something in there where, but again, it needs to be some sort of documentation and not done 3 weeks after the fact,
Are they able to take like a photo of the test to prove,
Yeah,
and
I
that
think
could
that's
do it?
fine.
So maybe having some language in that regard, just in case it were to come up. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm sure it could.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to lead into that, you were talking about, and not 3 weeks later. Can we put a time frame in here? Or is it in here and I missed
Right.
it?
Well, I mean, realistically, it should be that week. Okay, I could understand being out Monday, but if you're not coming Tuesday, and we call you, because I mean, we call every day. If somebody doesn't show up, we're taking attendance every day. And so on Monday, if they don't show up and they haven't called, we're going to be calling them anyway. Well, okay, is he sick? We can ask those questions, certainly going back to the COVID question and asking again, is it, can you give us that documentation,
Just for clarity's purposes, all I was thinking is making sure that it was in here.
Current week only, not past.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I was gonna say, if you do that with the COVID tests, I would suggest having them like write something like on a piece of paper
Date,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
picture so that you know it. They didn't like
Like
find
the
them.
newspaper.
Yeah,
Find them.
find a picture of it. You never know. People
Yeah.
are creative. Personally, I don't have a problem making them call their doctor and get a note for that, even if they test at home, because I have to do it for school with my kids.
Yeah.
We did. We called the pediatrician and they were like, "Yeah, did you have a positive COVID test?" "Yeah, he did." And then so they're,
And certainly in 21 and 22, we were, okay, great. Heck, I've got a box of tests in my office. I've got 150 tests in my office still that we didn't use, which is nice to not use them. Or 149, I should say. But
pediatricians totally get that kids need doctor's notes to excuse them from
absolutely.
things. So there's a whole process and it's not a huge deal.
right. Or could go to Convenient MD or one of the other urgent cares, and they'll do the same thing. Yeah.
Mackenzie just made me think of something else, like say a poison ivy, where a doctor's visit may not have been warranted, but might prohibit the child from attending camp. So the language is good, not just for COVID, but I think maybe for some other areas as well.
In which case, well, then they can't attend because they're contagious, and again, we need some sort of, they're going to have to figure out what it is. You would think they'd need to go to the doctor to know if it's contagious or not, versus just, poison ivy or, whatever. But, and like I said, this is the kind of first crack at this before it goes onward. So,
So maybe just like language around if a child has a medical condition that could very well be contagious, should have proof of a doctor's note or something.
We request that in the schools anyway,
Yeah,
so that they
something.
don't pass around.
Right.
Matthew, you had a question?
Yeah, getting back to Naomi's point, it doesn't seem that like it would be that hard to just get a doctor's note. And also with poison ivy, I don't know if you want to send a picture of your kid's poison ivy.
Right.
So
Probably not. But, and granted,
I don't know.
unless
That's a
it's
good point.
covered the entire body, then it probably doesn't necessarily preclude them from coming to camp anyway, unless it's like face or hands or something, but poison ivy wouldn't necessarily preclude you from coming to camp. It happens. There's a lot of poison ivy at camp, in fact, you know, so good. Other thoughts or suggestions? Okay, so I'll add in these suggestions and then we'll move it forward. I don't think I need a vote per se, unless you'd like to make one, but it was more just feedback other than just Hannah, James, and I talking amongst ourselves.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
So where, I can't follow the numbers. Scroll back up. Nope, the other way.
Yep.
I guess it would be down. Where it says if a program is canceled due to low enrollment, participants will receive a full refund. Is the
That-
reason why
that
that's crossed
doesn't
off
apply
is because
'cause
of the
this is camp.
$50?
Well,
Well, aren't there a couple of programs though that are special outside of just regular Naticook camp?
well, again, this policy that I'm changing only applies to summer camp.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So
Okay.
short of another major outbreak and the town makes us cancel for the summer like they did in 2020, I don't anticipate that, in which case we would give it all back anyway. So,
Okay.
so that's kind of obviously the exception to the rule.
Hey Matt, would
Yep.
you say the policies that we have in place are pretty like consistent with what other towns have for their summer camps?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we're a little on the lighter side compared to other towns. But not not a lot of other towns run full-on camps like we do. Like Nashua, for example, runs a bunch of one-week sport clinics that they contract out, but that's all they run. Amherst does, Milford doesn't, Bedford doesn't. Manchester has a drop-in program. So does London. You know, so I mean, in some aspects, we're running more than what a lot of the towns immediately around us are running. So, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. It's up to you, Matt. Do you want us to have a vote?
It's up to you. I don't care either way. I don't think I necessarily need it. It's more just feedback.
I agree with you on that one. All right, let's move on. Okay. The next we have here is where
Dog
did my
park.
stuff go here? Old business. So this is an update from the Merrimack Dog Park. I talked to Christine a couple of days ago too to get some more information from her. So our dog park balance right now is actually not $21.93.59. It is $16.93.59. We're expecting another $500 check to come in
And it has
that a business donates for volunteer hours for one of its employees, which turns out to be Chris Lavoie, who is the vice chair. We just haven't gotten the check yet. We thought we were going to have it back by the time of this meeting, so we kind of jumped the gun on that. But that's okay. It's coming. It always does. It's coming. Looks like this one's on a little bit different. So there's a request for funds on here for $999. That's for the wood chips. We usually do that. I don't remember if we
Twice
do
a
it in
year.
spring or the fall, but the only thing that I would say was at the dog park this past weekend. So the only thing that I would say is number one, the dog park thanks DPW and Parks and Recs tremendously for going in there and basically getting rid of the forest that existed on both sides of the dog park. The one thing that's actually kind of nice, and it might be the silver lining for all of the weeds and everything that were in there, is on the small dog park side, the greenery seems to be taking over the park, which is kind of holding the dirt and the wood chips kind of in place. So when it gets trimmed down, it's not going all the way down, so it's still kind of holding things in place. So that's one silver lining to that. But I think that there's a lot of cleaning up that we still want to get done before winter time comes. It'd be nice to get it cleaned up before the wood chips land. Do we have any idea when they're coming?
Well, you guys have to vote if you agree to.
Okay, I wasn't sure where we were at with
Agree,
that.
agree to approve the expenditure.
Okay, and then it goes to town council.
From the the $1,693 that we have, and then we'll put in the order to get those shipped to us.
Okay.
990. The reason for those that are new, the reason it's $999 is once it's over $1,000, we have to put it out to a bid. And then you can get. I mean, we actually just did playground chips, and I spent $3,700 on the Wasserman playground just for bigger area, obviously. But so this will get us probably 35 yards or so, give or take. So it's just it tops it off essentially as a way to, keep it from getting really muddy and icy in the winter and, whatnot. So it doesn't all turn to mud if we get a lot of rain this fall or snow or, whatnot. But usually historically we've done it twice a year, I think.
Are we going to be using the same vendor for it?
Possibly, although I want to see the company that I used for the playground, because I did have to go out for the bid on that, was cheaper than the guy here in town. So if I can get more yardage for the same money,
Agreed.
then,
Agreed. I'm sorry, Heather. Yes.
About a week and a half ago, when the highway crew came to clean up the park, there was one truckload of mulch delivered, but I also plan on having a cleanup weekend in October to get the remnants of what needs to be cleaned up in the park.
Okay.
yeah,
I
we
didn't see
we
mulch
haven't
this
had any
past
mulch delivered
weekend.
to the dog park. The stuff we had ordered was for the playground, which was all. Yeah.
When was this, Heather? Do you remember? Is your mic on?
I want to say it was last Thursday when they came to cut the grass.
And the wood chips were there then?
They delivered them on that day on the a large dog park side on the upper half. Only one. I don't know if it was just something that was left over, but
I don't know.
I didn't
I
see
didn't
them
order
this
any for up
weekend.
there, so unless somebody just helped themselves and brought them up the hill, I don't know. Leftover for yeah, I don't know.
Okay. For all those who are listening, if there are dog park chips or playground chips that are down by the Wasserman Playground, please leave them down by the Wasserman Playground. We will order our own chips. But we are still looking for playground chips, right? Okay. All right. As far as that, I mean, the dog park's doing fairly well. People are bringing their plastic bottles. Thank you very much for the water. And they're not leaving the empty bottles there. Thank you very much for that.
We do need a vote on to spend the money.
Okay. I can't just say yes. All right. As I've been reminded, we do need to vote on spending $999 for playground wood chips that will be sent out for potential with the vendor that Matt was using. So do we have a motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
I
Unanimous.
Okay.
Well, this doesn't. No, back when the park was built, they gave this committee permission to approve expenses. So. So yeah, this committee can spend that out of that fund. Because they didn't want to have us come back however many times a year over and over again for that purpose. So yes, you're good.
Thank you, though, for your approval. We do appreciate that part. And so do the puppies. All right. So next one we have on is we're back to Matt with the director's report.
All right. After school program is up and running, and when we opened up that first day of school, we had 24 kids. So not bad. We actually ended up capping it at 24 initially because I lost one of the staff members I had tentatively hired. And so I had to stay in ratios. So we were at 24. And then we had a couple of people that suddenly got into either the program at the school, or they said, oh, I decided I don't need 5 days. I only need 3. So we've had some movement around, but we've got 22 kids doing a combination of days. Most days we're like 16 to 19 a day. So we're okay. I'd like to get 5 or 10 more and be in, or at least get up to 24 a day would be really nice. But at the moment I stopped looking for extra staff until I get at least up to the 24 a day again. But it's going good. The school's been great to work with. We just put out we did a direct mailing to the school. They let us do flyers home that went out Monday, I think. And they were promoting us on Facebook, and the school was, and I think in their newsletter. So hopefully we'll get some more registrations coming in for that soon. But good start so far. And we'll see how it goes. Final movie night of the summer is coming up next Saturday, September 30th, if it doesn't rain. The 10-day forecast is not all that positive right now, so we'll see. But we're tentatively scheduled to show Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. As we've done in the past, we want to thank the Lions Club as well as Xfinity for sponsoring the series this year. Attendance has not been as good this year, and I think some of it's the weather. Some of it, it's been either rainy or humid or a combination of both. I mean, but we used to get 100, 150 people every movie. This year it's like 30 to 60. So it's like, so we'll see how next week goes, and then we'll decide what we want to do. Maybe we only do one next year. Maybe we don't do any and we find some other event to do. Yeah, I don't know yet. So, yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Coming up in 3 weeks is our 4th annual Natticook Challenge. This is our 5K obstacle course race that James put together. We've been doing this event since COVID, but it's Saturday, October 14th. It's at Wasserman Park, but it's a 5K course that goes through a combination of the park as well as the conservation trails. And so there'll be 8 to 10 kind of obstacles that pretty much anybody can do. Some of them are, swing on a ring, it might be a, crawl under this, or, pull yourself up on that, those kinds of things, or, climb over a platform, or I think one of the ones this year we're going to have a hay bale climb, or, things like that. So, nice event. We've got 85 registered so far. So we're close to if we haven't passed last year's number, we're really close to it. So I think we'll get more. I'd like to get to at least 100. So we got 3 weeks. So hopefully we will. But we are looking for volunteers. As it happens, I'm going to be out of town this year on that day. I'm going to be in Texas that week. And I'm flying home that day, so I won't be back in time for the race. So if anybody has any availability to help James out that morning, it's Saturday morning from 8 to about 10:15. If anybody's around, we're looking for help, and that goes for anybody at home too. So,
Matt, will you put me in touch with him
have it?
and I can? Oh, will you put me in touch with him and I can?
Yes.
Help out.
great,
Me
Matt,
as
I was
well,
just
if you
gonna say
could.
that I can help out that day too.
great. And it's really pretty easy. The main thing is it's either, in some cases it's monitoring to make sure that people are turning the right way. In some cases it's making sure that they complete the obstacle. And with all the obstacles, it's like, here's the main obstacle, and if you decide it's more than what you can handle, there's if you don't want to do this particular challenge, you can do 10 jumping jacks, or whatever it happens. So it's usually we have volunteers at those stations to tell them what the alternative is, or that kind of thing. But thank you. And yeah, so that's that one. Coming up after that, on the 28th of October, is the 31st annual Halloween party at Wasserman Park. It's going to be Saturday the 28th from 12 to 3. We're in the process of recruiting businesses and community organizations. We've got 14 signed up so far. I just put it out a couple of days ago to the business and group organization. I've got a list of about 130 kind of business and community organizations in the area that have done other events. So we're working on building that up. But basically, we asked them to provide a game, a craft, or face painting, or some other activity. and we basically give them a space, you know, and, but this is an event that usually sees 1,000+ people as long as the weather's good. So, I
Don't
will be,
jinx it, please.
what's that?
Don't jinx it, please.
I know.
Matt,
I will be looking for volunteers, but not, I'll wait till October to ask you about that one, because we're still too far away from that.
Hey, Matt.
I am toying with the idea of, one second. I'm toying with the idea of a pumpkin race soapbox derby. So basically put wheels on a pumpkin and 3, 2, 1, go. It races down the hill. And, you know, maybe doing something like, you know, most spectacular crash, best decorated, you know, that kind of thing, just to add something new. So I'm still trying to write the rules for it right now. But it's not like a ride on it. It's just almost like the old Pinewood derbies with scouts. You know, you're all at the starting line and you let go, you know, and let it just roll, you know. I think it'll be kind of cool, but like I said, that's on my task list for this week to try to figure out the logistics of. But it'll be something free and something cool. And somebody had a question.
Mackenzie?
I'm not sure what like groups and organizations you have on that list, but if you are looking for more,
Always.
I'm not sure if you're able to send out that list to us just so we can see who's on it. And if there's certain organizations or businesses that aren't, I know a lot of people, so I'm sure I could send you some names.
Yep, I can do that. I mean, it's a combination of like people that have done basically every time we do one of these big community events, I take all those groups and add it into my master list. And so the list just gets bigger and bigger every year. But yes, I can send the list out but most of them are pretty good about responding. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it, you know. But there's no cost to do it. It's just it's whether they have the time, you know. Sometimes I was debating for a while about, it's like, do I change the time? You know, we used to be, and just for history purposes, we used to do it on Friday nights. And the event got so big that it got too hard to light up outdoors and enough spaces. Even we were using MYA's light towers, and we ended up getting crammed into a space because we just didn't have enough light towers, you know. And then there was concerns about safety with the police and traffic, and because it was dark, especially up the hill in October. And we switched during COVID to Saturdays, and I was like, why didn't I do this years ago? This is so much easier, you know? And so I debated for a little bit about pushing it a little later in the day. Like, I feel like a karate studio, maybe they're running classes on Saturday morning, so maybe 12 o'clock's a little tight for the, but I ended up keeping it for now. So yeah, anyway, but I can send that list out to everybody. That's Halloween. And then lastly, we're still waiting on Public Works on the slides on Kids Cove. They were trying to do it. They were originally going to do it the first when after the kids went back to school, and they're dealing with the kind of same staffing shortages. So now we're looking at the beginning of October, I think, is their new date. We'll get it there, and eventually, it is what it is. And then last thing I have is we are still looking for part-time year-round maintenance. We've been struggling for a while with this position. It's up to 25 hours a week. It's $18 an hour. Ideally, we're looking for somebody like Monday through Friday, 8 to 1. I have some flexibility with that, but realistically, I need somebody during the daytime. Part of what they need to do is things like weed whacking the dog park. And I can't have somebody do that at night because it's dark, and I can't have them do it on weekends because they can't be operating. Town doesn't let them operate power tools if they're by themselves. And so for safety aspects, they can't be when nobody else is around per se. So I really need somebody like mother's hours or father's hours. I mean, we do have, stay-at-home parents and whatnot, or retirees, or I don't know, but
Now, Matt, is that position posted?
it is.
Okay.
Yep, it is. And right now, HR kind of posts it for like a week and a half at a time, and then we get to, okay, nobody, nope, okay, we'll post it again, and we just kind of keep pushing it out. So, but it is posted on the town website, and I don't know. At the moment, James and I are spending collectively about 16 hours a week of our time on maintenance because we're trying to there's stuff to do. And not that we have time to do it either, but there's stuff that has to get done. So especially closing down cabins for winter. And I mean, we still got docks out. We still got the lifeguard chair out. The cabins are still open. The water's still on. The archery netting's still up. I mean, there's just a whole list of stuff that has to get done in addition to weed whacking and everything else. We finally took down the lunch tents the other day. But I don't really want to do that all winter. And I had somebody originally, one of my park attendants that I had at Wasserman on the weekends in the summer, originally was staying on to cover my my function hall rentals, and he just gave his notice. So I will be posting that one as well, but that's more of a sporadic, Friday, Saturday, or Sundays when we have rentals, it's staffing the rentals so that people don't go exploring in my building. Yeah.
Matt, do we post? Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
I was
Lauren.
just going to say, could you put it out to like community service? Some kids need community service for school, and football team or soccer team.
Yes and no. I mean, like, I can't. You got to be 18 for the town to use power tools.
Oh, well, let them lift the docks out and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Because the
idea.
soccer team came to Wags and Whiskers and did that for us
Okay.
from Nashua. All the tables and chairs and they were thrilled to do it. So maybe,
Yeah, maybe.
that's just a suggestion.
Okay. Thank you.
Mackenzie?
Do we post any of the jobs on like LinkedIn or on like the Indeed website or anything?
It's all over the place.
Okay.
All the town uses, it's governmentjobs.com, but then that
USA
automatically
Jobs.
posts to Indeed and all these
Okay.
other places. So yes, it does. But yeah, so we're that's all I got.
All right. So let's go to organizational reports. We'll start with MYA. Rick Grenier.
Thank you. First of all, I'm happy to say there are about 1,000 children participating in fall sports right now. About 200 in our football cheerleading program. And I can give you these numbers later if you'd like, Christy. About 660, or the bulk of it, in soccer. About 110 in baseball, and about 50 in softball. So we're pretty happy with that. And this is probably a good time to thank DPW as always, because they've done a great job getting everything ready for this season. Currently, registration is open for basketball. Parents that are out there looking for more info can find it at the MerrimackYouthAssociation.com. And I also need to thank Elbit Systems and Gatenge for being so generous with their property.
Question, Rick, how's football doing with their move over to?
I haven't heard anything negative at all. As you may know, they do have a new storage container over there.
Okay.
Because they simply needed more space, but so far so good, I believe.
Okay. I know DPW had some concerns about tearing up the field and it not being ready for baseball in the spring. And
Yeah.
So hopefully that doesn't come to.
Yeah, so it hasn't so far, and our baseball director has presently they only use those fields for younger children,
Yeah.
so they don't actually play in the outfield too much.
Yeah,
Where
okay.
where football is using.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so far it's working.
Okay, good.
Great. All right. Senior Citizens Club, Maureen.
Hello. We're still planning to have our fall fair, October 21st, 9 to 3 at the John O'Leary Center on Church Street. We'll have signs up. And Meals on Wheels is going to be serving us lunch this Monday coming. And right now we've had quite a few people joining, couples, and surprisingly, so we're doing well, keeping busy. We have a brand new floor, brand new carpet. As long as people don't destroy it, that rent the property, which has been done already. So, but you have to stop in and see it. It's gorgeous. Thank you. And we got to repaint too.
Thanks, Maureen. All right. Naomi for school board.
School started. And it's going really well from everything that I've heard. There's various schools have had various open houses or are having various open houses over the next couple of weeks. And again, I don't need to list them all here, but like if you have a kid in a school, you should be aware and reaching out that those kind of events are happening. This week on Friday is an early release day for staff training. That's the September 22nd. And then there is no school on Friday, October 6th, again for trainings and workshops for staff and teachers. And then on, where is that? October 9th for Columbus/Indigenous Peoples Day. There's no school that day as well. And I believe that's everything between now and the next time this committee will meet.
Great, thank you.
Tracy,
Yes.
if I can just interject, we're actually running a program on October 9th. So just childcare, 8 to 4 program, open to anybody in any school, over at the park, lunch is included. Hold on, I gotta look up the price, but we are running a program. So
Okay.
if anybody needs childcare coverage that day, it's a full day program.
Thank you. I will mention that at the next school board meeting too.
Thank you.
Were you looking up the price to add to this?
I am. 1 second.
Okay.
It's $60 for the first child, 55 if they have for the sibling. But again, lunch is included and it's 8 to 4.
Okay. Sorry, I'm typing as fast as I can, guys. I really am. All right. Matthew, student representative.
Okay, so homecoming was pushed to September 30th, which gives us a lot more time to plan. Thank goodness. The volleyball team had their home opener on September 13th, and then the football team had their home opener on the 8th, which was later pushed to the 11th because of lightning. So yeah, we have a lot more games coming up as well, and the band will be going to UNH for the first time for a competition.
Fantastic. Do you know when that is?
Not yet, but I will get that to you on our October meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matthew.
I have no idea.
You're supposed to go on and watch TV on Friday night to watch the football game.
I believe they're 1-1.
It's still a good start. All right, and last but not least, Mackenzie for town council.
So the town council met last week, and unfortunately I was not there and I was out of town. So I don't have a report on that meeting, but I can report from our prior meeting the month before in August. As mentioned at our last Parks and Rec meeting, the town council at the meeting we had in August, we did approve the funds to go to the scholarship for camps. That was in the amount of $2,500 from the Merrimack Friends, and Family, and that will go to low-income Merrimack families to send their kids to camp. So we did approve that. We also approved a donations of funds to Wasserman Park. That was from the Boy Scouts, Troop 401, and that was to be used toward the future improvements of that park. And that was in the amount of $654.87. So those were both approved at our last meeting. And then just one other kind of update on town stuff. On September 12th, the finance director that we had for the town, Tom Bolan, retired. So we did appoint a new finance director. His name is Adam. And he has a wide range of experience. So we did appoint him as a new finance director, Adam Britton. So he will be starting with our town, which we're very excited about. We got to meet him, and he's a very nice gentleman, a younger gentleman with kids. So again, he has a ton of experience in the field, so we're very excited about that.
Fantastic.
He has started.
Yes, he has started.
All right. Matthew's mom, do you have any comments? You are our public. Oh, right. Yeah.
I have one general question, Matt. I
Yeah.
may have missed it last month. but a few months ago, there were a couple gentlemen here talking about developing a mountain bike trail.
Yes.
And where is that?
It's in process of being built. It did get council approval. They've already started building. And I haven't been out there myself yet, but James has when he was scouting his trail for his race coming up in a couple of weeks, and they're making good headway. So it should be done fairly soon.
Nice.
So I'm sure we'll do some sort of ribbon cutting or something when that's up and running, press release kind of thing.
Thank you.
I think I saw some when I went to the dog park this past weekend. I think I saw this little groove, between the trees on would have been the right side of where the shed is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right?
Could be. I think it actually starts
Or-
almost by the park exit, kind of
Okay.
opposite the archery range. It kind of enters in over there and kind of comes through the trees there.
Yeah.
And then goes down and back and around. I don't think it actually enters right next to the dog. I think it's further up, but maybe it comes out.
Then it was a really big moose trail.
Could be.
We'll go with that. All right. Any other comments from the committee? Heather, I don't want to miss you. You're hiding back there. Okay. All right, good. So our next meeting is October 18th, and then our meeting in November is November 15th.
Right. Sounds right. And then
I'm reading it from here,
Yes.
so I was hoping it was right.
sounds right if that's what I wrote, but yeah. And I think October is probably going to be discussions about the budget. So we haven't gotten our instructions yet from the town manager, but I'm guessing that we'll be in that time frame because I'm already starting to work on it on my end. So
Okay. So be prepared is what you're saying?
yeah, maybe a
Have
little longer.
coffee?
Maybe a little longer to talk about finance.
All right.
So
All right. If there's no other comments or questions, we have a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. Okay. Well, all in favor of adjourning? 9. Okay, thank you. And we are adjourned at 7:47.
Nice job.